1.3 The carbon cycle. In this topic we will find out how carbon atoms move between the air, living organisms, and fossil fuels. Bring together what you know about respiration and photosynthesis to think about how they affect the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon and living organisms. Carbon is an element. The symbol for carbon is C. Carbon is a nonmetal. It occurs naturally in different forms. Organisms cannot use carbon in the form of an element, such as the lead in a pencil. It is another form of carbon. Carbon is part of many different compounds that make up cells. Returning carbon dioxide to the air. A lot of the carbon dioxide that plants take from the air eventually goes back into the air again. This happens when plants and animal respire. Respiration equation. Glucose plus oxygen, carbon dioxide plus water. When you breathe out, carbon dioxide that was produced in your cells by respiration goes into the air around you. All organisms respire. Plants respire all the time. At night, when they cannot photosynthesize, they give out carbon dioxide, just as we do. Decomposers respire too. As they break down waste products from plants and animals, they release carbon dioxide into the air. Fossil fuels and combustion. When organisms die, their bodies fall into places where there is no oxygen, such as deep in the ocean. In these places, the organisms cannot respire because there is not enough oxygen for them. Instead, the organisms' bodies get gradually buried as more and more sediment builds up on top of them. Changing dead organisms to fossil fuels takes a very long time. Most of the fossil fuels that we use on Earth today were formed hundreds of millions of years ago. Oil and natural gas formed when tiny marine organisms died and fell to the seabed. The oil is brought up through the pipes and taken ashore to be used as fuel. Coal was formed from the remains of plants that grew in huge swamps. Their remains were buried over millions of years, slowly turning into coal. Fossil fuels contain carbon. This came from the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins in the dead organisms. When we burn a fossil fuel, the carbon in it combines with oxygen from the air and forms carbon dioxide. This is called combustion. 1 point for climate change. In this topic we will find out how the Earth's climate has changed in the past. Learn what happened when an asteroid collided with Earth. Consider how the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere affect climate today and also in the future, and describe some of the predicted impacts of climate change. Greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide and methane are greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide helps to keep the Earth warm. Without any carbon dioxide in the atmosphere at all, the Earth would be a frozen place, unable to support life. But at the moment, we have too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are increasing. This is affecting the climate on Earth. Climate change in the past. Climate is the long-term pattern of temperatures, wind, and rainfall on Earth. The Earth's climate has been very different in the past compared to the climate today. Here are some examples of changes. A. Ice ages. About 2 billion years ago, the Earth experienced the first ice age. Since then, the Earth has cycled between relatively warm periods and relatively cold ones. In the warm periods, there was no ice at all, even at the poles. In the colder periods, called ice ages, there was ice at the poles. B. Snowball Earth. On at least one occasion, perhaps about 650 million years ago, the whole Earth was covered with ice and snow. Scientists call this snowball Earth, or sometimes slush ball Earth, because they are not sure whether everything was completely frozen. This is what the Earth may have looked like 650 million years ago. At that time, the continents were not in the same positions as now. C. Asteroid collided each other. Around 470 million years ago, scientists think that 2 asteroids collided with one another when they were in space somewhere in between Earth and Mars. The collision produced huge quantities of dust. The dust reduced the amount of light and heat from the sun reaching the Earth's surface. This triggered an ice age. The Earth became much colder. The ice caps spread much further from the poles and sea level fell. D. Asteroids colliding with Earth. Around 67 million years ago, an asteroid collided with Earth. Researchers have identified an area on the coast of Mexico where the asteroid impact took place. There was huge devastation close to where the asteroid fell. The collision affected the whole planet, not just the surrounding area, because it threw huge quantities of rock and dust into the air. It would also have created a massive tsunami, which could have spread across all of the Earth's oceans. The dust in the air meant that less light reached the Earth's surface. Plants could not photosynthesize, so animals had less food, as well as the disruption to food chains. The Earth became much colder because less heat from the sun could reach the surface. Scientists think that these changes caused by the asteroid impact explain why dinosaurs became extinct. Not only the dinosaurs, but also many other species on Earth were destroyed as a result of the climate change following the asteroid collision. The asteroid caused a mass extinction. Climate change today and in future. The last 2,000 years, our climate has been fairly stable. People living in different places have become used to having more rain at some times of year than at other times, or temperatures that change in a predictable way during one year. Knowing this helps people to choose the best crops to grow. However, now, the mean temperatures on Earth are increasing. This is caused by an increase in carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, which traps heat, energy close to the Earth's surface. When carbon dioxide concentrations increase, more heat is trapped. Impact of climate change. A more extreme weather